Nope, I think we're here. So very good. Thank you for coming this evening. Happy April to you all. Hopefully it feels a little like April, but it's coming. So enjoy. If you haven't been here before, if you're brave, raise your hand so we can greet you and cheer you on. That's great. Joel came. Yes. I've been egging him on, so I'm so glad you came. Yeah, and welcome back to everyone else. A reminder, Green Drinks in Crystal Lake is part of an international thing. There's over 350 of them in the world. And we are all about building our environmental community, educating that community. There's the education piece. He's waiting in the wings. And then helping you connect back to that community to be involved. And so that's our green drinks here. We are co-sponsored by the Environmental Defenders of McHenry County, and they are taking care of our mailing list. So if you're not on it, there's a place in the back to sign up, and we appreciate your email if you want that. Also, Duke's Ale House. Thank you, Zach. And that's who's hosted us for over 16 and a half years. So give it up to our co-sponsors, please. We're very appreciative of that. You got it? Yeah. So who knows what happens this month, later in the month? What's this month about? Earth Day. There you go. Let's see if I can. No. It's day. My favorite day of the month and the year. And so when did this start? Does anybody remember? 1970? All right. What's the actual date of Earth Day? Excellent. All right. We just want to make sure people can remember these things. And why did Earth Day start in the first place? What was going on? The committee can't answer these questions. We're talking to the... Oh, somebody knows. Who knows about Earth Day?
Erie's not by us.
No, Lake Erie was not. That Cuyahoga River, I lived by it and taught at the national park there, so I can attest to that. And it now has frogs and other things in it, and turtles and great blue herons, because people created, all of us together decided that there need to be standards of our water and our land and our air. Those are the Clean Air, Clean Water Act, et cetera, which you may know about. And then things have cleaned up, so Lake Erie is still alive. They thought it was dead for a while because it's the shallowest Great Lake, but things are going well there too, for the most part. But it shows what we can do when we're working together and can accomplish for our life support system. So that's why we wanted to take a moment to honor that and make sure you get a chance to celebrate, advocate, educate, and then whatever acts of service you're able to commit to, why pay attention and get out and do something for our life support system. So this evening we have, well, no, before we introduce our next program is Erin's going to talk about with her. Sorry, I got you when you're eating, Erin.
Hi, everybody. So our May program is going to be focused on composting. We've got Tommy Vaughn from Waste Not Compost. He's their growth manager. He's going to be talking about the history of composting here in McHenry County, and then giving us some good news on some future expansion that's going to be coming here to McHenry County. So hopefully you guys will all be available. Also, once again, it's available on Zoom if you're unable to make it in person. So hope you're able to listen.
Thanks. Yes. And so we always gather the first Wednesday of the month. So that's our May program coming up. And yes, welcome to our Zoom friends as well. We also have a couple other things happening this evening. One, you might have been hit up for if you wanted to have a chance at a little raffle at the end, free raffle. So if you didn't get tickets, they're in the back. You can get them and toss half of it in the cup, hold on to the other half. And at the end tonight, somebody will draw out and there might be a little extra for you this evening. If you are feeling inclined, we would collect donations in regards to that, but also we've been working to buy new sound system. And so if you're feeling like you want to donate to that, we appreciate it. And then we're also over by where you got your name tags. If you have any ideas for us of what you'd like to see for a program, We'd love for you to write those down. So there's a piece of paper over there, a clipboard and a little sign. So feel free to add to that as you wish. I think that's good to get us started. So Zach has arranged for this month's program.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Or do I have to have both?
Oh, I didn't know you had that one.
Oh, do I just talk
Sorry.
this one works?
Generous.
Can everybody hear me okay? All right. I didn't know. I thought one was for Zoom. All right, so I got it. So I'm gonna do my introduction today. I'm gonna read it because I always forget and leave stuff out. And this is something that I'm really passionate about and really excited to learn more about. Regenerative farming. Regenerative farming has been around a long time, and some say it could be from the beginning of farming. And when I discovered it and heard about it was in a book I read, The Blue Planet, and it really, there's always been a huge movement to moving away from eating meat, and it's very discouraging for people when they have meat in their diet and trying to eliminate it from it. And really, there's been a huge focus on that to reduce your carbon footprint. And while that does have a large impact, regenerative farming came out and got me really excited again about meat consumption, that it can actually do something to actually help the planet and do some carbon harvesting when it's integrated into a full system, which I have no experience with. So that's why we brought in an expert today. So we've all heard the word sustainable, but we need to look past just sustaining. Today, we're looking at healing. In the world of farming, there is actually a movement happening that doesn't just stop damage to the earth, it actually leaves the soil better than we found it. That's why I'm so excited about tonight. Dukes has always been proud of ourselves on the ingredients we serve in this kitchen, and those ingredients are only as good as the soil they come from and the farmers who tend to them. Now more than ever, the world is in need of discovering better ways of getting carbon out of the atmosphere, not just by reducing our emissions, but by removing it from the atmosphere. That is where our guest tonight comes in. Our guest tonight is a first-generation farmer from right down the road in Harvard, Illinois. He isn't just raising grass-fed beef and pasture-raised poultry. He is on a mission to connect thousands of families to a food source that they can actually trust. He's proving that we can scale these practices to feed our community while repairing our environment at the same time. To help us understand what regenerative really means for our plates and our planet, please join me in welcoming the founder of Wanda Farms, Joe Wanda.
All right, thank you guys. And wow, an expert. I mean, I want you guys all to know that I am on a journey just like all of us in learning how to be a steward of the earth and repair it. And that is really what I'm set out to do with our mission. And that's my personal mission, is really to be a steward and to educate and teach others to do the same. So title of the presentation, Scaling Regenerative Agriculture here in Chicago. It probably should just be Scaling Regenerative Agriculture in your local community. And our farm is focused on pasture-raised proteins, and we really feel that the practices we're doing are actually healing the ecosystem while also nourishing our local community with good quality food. So our farm, as Zach mentioned, is in Harvard, Illinois, and we are first-generation farmers, my wife and I, and this is my family. We got real busy with making kids and also growing a farm at the same time. So it's sure been a fun ride with my wife, and we started the farm in 2018, and then we started having our first child was actually a COVID baby. He was born in 2020, and then we haven't stopped from there. So we'll see. We need all the worker hands we can get on the farm. So we'll see if we keep going or not. But we focus on producing grass-fed beef, pasture-raised pork, chicken, turkeys, and eggs. We do all of this on about a 150-acre farm. And all of the products are sold direct to consumer. We do that through our website. We also do a lot of local farmers markets in the Chicagoland area. And we do sell our eggs mainly in several local retail locations as well. So we approximate that we're feeding around 3,000 families in the Midwest right now. And in 2021 was kind of a turning point for my wife and I, to where when we first started the farm, it literally was just like, we're doing this because we wanted to. And it was more about just having fun with it, feeding our family and some friends, and building like a little side business. And then in 2021, we started like, okay, this is not a side business anymore. And that's when we made this really crazy goal, going from feeding like 80 people to what if we fed like 10,000 families? We're like, that's crazy. I'm like, there's 17 million people within an hour and a half of our farm. Why can't we feed 10,000 families? And so my wife and I made it a goal at that point on like, let's feed 10,000 families by the end of this decade. And so I feel like we're well on the way with that mission. It's really exciting. As we've decided on that mission, we went from just my wife and I in 2021 to now we have 10 full-time employees and 10 part-time employees. And I would say there's 3 things that get me up every day to go to work, and it's definitely my family. They are just a blessing. But it's also all of the people that are joining us on the mission and on the team. It's a real honor to work with all of them. They're all there because of the same purpose and the same mission. And then the third thing would be all of our customers, because we could not do any of it without all the support from them, willing to pay a premium price for products that they feel are better than anything they could find at the grocery store. All right, so my beginnings started at a very young age as a little farmer. That photo there on the left is me at about, I think I was 8 or 9 years old at that point. My parents came from Chicago, and they had this idea of getting out of the city and growing their children out on a farm. And so my parents did just that. And my mom had this lovely dream of having a milk cow that she would go up every morning and milk. And so at about 8 years old, she bought a Jersey cow. Her name was Bessie. And I got to go out there every morning and help her milk. And I fell in love with the farm life at a very young age by then. And I was already up every day helping her milk the cow. And then we had a few pigs that would feed the sour milk to. And then we would have any of the calves we would raise up for beef. And then we had chickens and we had a horse. So it was a nice little hobby farmette. And so that's what started my passion. But then as I continued on into high school, I started working for a dairy farm and just said, yeah, this is where I need to be. I need to be a dairy farmer. And so I went to University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and got a 4-year degree in dairy science. And then there I learned a lot, a very lot. But I will say I learned from one perspective. And that perspective was on industrial agriculture. It was all about production. So unfortunately, the photo didn't show up. It's just another beautiful photo of me. Well, it's actually my wife and I when we got engaged. And that was a busy year in 2013. We got engaged. We got married, and I graduated from college, and I bought my first 2 cows. And so the picture is my wife and my cow. So
You can tell the difference.
yes. So the industrial agriculture is what I was educated at college. And we would have these big speaker gurus come in and they would talk to us about how we were going to feed the world. And that was the message. That was the core message of the college education, is we're responsible for feeding the world. And at the end of the presentation, I'll tell you, yes, we are, but there's a little twist to it. And we would feed the world by scaling all of these things: technology, tractors versus horses, all of these things that I'm laying out, they were not here in history until the last 100 years. People ask me, oh, you're into that new thing, grass-fed beef, pasture-raised animals. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're forgetting something. This all started about 100 years ago, that we started feeding grains to cattle. We started putting animals into confinement barns. We started using chemicals for all of our inputs. And so everything has drastically changed. I always love to share at any of our tours that 90% of the population were farmers in the early 1800s. What percent of our population today are actually working on the farm? Exactly. You're right. 1%. A lot of people don't even know that. They'll be like, I don't know, 10%, 1%. And so it's dramatically changed in the last 200 years, not to mention the last 100 years. So in 1970, under Nixon, there was Earl Butz, and he continued this message of feeding the world. It was all about his quote, get big or get out. His whole idea was we need to grow crops fence line to fence line. We got to continue to scale. We got to feed the world. That was the message, and it's continued. So what was the result? He achieved the result, decreased cost of food. When you talk about the cost of food today, about 100 years ago, over 40% of someone's income went towards their food expense. Today, 10%. And how much time are we actually out eating out, right? So when you start taking that into account, you could probably shave off another few percentage points at least. So our cost of food is dramatically decreased. There's no doubt about it. They've achieved that goal in industrializing agriculture. The industrial agriculture system, with all of the new advances, their focus is on efficiencies. So what do? They focus on monocultures. We grow one crop, right? We have rotations. Hopefully they're running a rotation at least, but we're running a rotation of corn and soybeans. Some farms aren't. Or we're growing one specific animal, such as you have these confinement operations. A lot of people like to call them factory farms, where they're raising tens of thousands of animals on one location. And they're relying on synthetic inputs, that be the chemical fertilizers, all of the glyphosate and sprays out in the fields, and then fossil fuel reliance. I mean, look at what's going on right now with the current war, and I'm talking to a lot of farmers that are really scared about it. I mean, I heard some clip online, a guy was worried because he said his fuel was being rationed. He doesn't know how he's going to get into the spring to do all of his planting and everything. And then the last thing is taking the most valuable resource, in my opinion, and treating it as a petri dish. That's what we've done with the soil here that we've been given here in the Midwest. When I was at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, it's up in northern Wisconsin, right outside of the Twin Cities. And a lot of the college students there would kind of make fun of me because they'd be like, oh, you're in Illinois. I'm like, yeah. They're like, hey, you live in God's crotch. So the point is they made fun of us because they're like, your soil is so rich there. It's incredible. You guys can grow incredible things. But the reality is that soil is disappearing. So now we've seen all of these health consequences, right? We've seen more and more people dealing with health issues, obesity. Everything is on a rise. When we start talking about health consequences, even though the food costs have dramatically gone down, guess how much our healthcare has gone up in the last 100 years? Fourfold. So now we're paying more to our doctors and healthcare providers just to keep ourselves alive and healthy, when the reality is it's probably a result of our food and the way we're industrializing all of the agriculture. Of course, another thing not mentioned about is taxpayer subsidies. We have a $450 billion of money for the USDA that all of us are combined paying into through our taxes. And all it is doing is feeding this industrial system over and over again. And the majority of it is actually for the SNAP program, which let's face it, a lot of people need help with food assistance, but what they're being fed is all being lobbied by Coca-Cola and food mills, all of these big corporation companies that are reliant on, unfortunately, unprocessed, bad quality food. And so there's a real unfortunate issue in our food system based on how our tax dollars are being used. And then the last thing is environmental impacts, and that's really what I'm going to try to focus on the most here in our presentation, because I know this is the Green Drinks event. So we're going to talk about how we can make the world greener through regenerative agriculture. But the industrial ag system is really, like I mentioned, we're losing soil at an alarming rate. And we're talking about water pollution issues, biodiversity decline, and of course, greenhouse gas emissions. So we've seen soil erosion runoff, as you can see in the photo here, all of that runoff. And I'm going to share a video a little later on of talking more about that. And then how about the dead zones? I don't know, how many of you guys have all heard of the dead zone? All right, everybody's heard of it, it sounds like. But the dead zone is all a result of all the chemicals putting out into our industrial fields running off into the streams. And that's because of this right here. And of course, loss of biodiversity. All of this is causing climate instability, drought and flooding cycles, and declining farm resilience. Like I mentioned earlier, that farmer who said, I don't know how I'm going to pay for the fuel. Well, right now, these farmers are struggling. They're trying to make it. And if they have 1 or 2 bad years, they could be wiped out. If you want to read a really great story, a side note, Gabe Brown, he is an incredible farmer, someone who's really inspired me in what we're doing. He wrote a book called Dirt to Soil. He went through one of these. He had 3 years of horrible crops, and he made it through, somehow survived, and now he's a thriving farm. I'll let you read his book, but it's incredible. According to experts, we have 50 more harvests before we have depleted our topsoil. So not just when we start talking about greenhouse gas issues, but how about our topsoil? We're not going to be able to grow any food for ourselves to eat in 50 more years if we don't make a change. So I know that was a lot of doom and gloom, but there's hope, right? And as Zach mentioned, the idea of regenerative agriculture can actually heal the land, and it can provide good quality food for us to eat again. And it restores the ecosystems. It's going to build soil health and topsoil. It works with nature, not against it, and it improves the nutrient density of the food. It's really, I look at it as a mindset shift. We're moving from a carbon source in the industrial system to a carbon sink. We're moving from degraded land to a living ecosystem, moving from nutrient-less food to nutrient-dense food. Now we're creating not a watershed, but a water sponge. So regenerative agriculture, one resource that has really allowed me to understand the core principles is called Understanding Ag. There's many other great resources out there and educational organizations teaching these, but the 5 tenets of regenerative agriculture are minimize soil disturbance, keep soil covered, keep the living roots, increase diversity, and integrate livestock. So, with those said, looking at these 2 fields side by side, what would you guys say is the biggest culprit in the farming practice? What is the biggest farming practice culprit that we should be identifying, maybe pointing out here that we see in the Midwest? Plowing, yes. You guys are really good because most people don't get this at my farm tours. So the continued tillage, and when we go back to the previous slide, when we till, we're going to be disturbing the soil, right? We're not keeping it covered. We're killing all that living roots. And of course, we're eliminating diversity by killing everything. So tillage is the biggest culprit. And the best thing we can do is have more perennials, because perennials are not going to require tillage. Perennials are going to be already established. They're going to meet all of those four things that we wanted, those four main practices, right? However, and this is what our farm practices, we need to integrate livestock as well. And so we do that through rotational grazing, multi-species integration. So we have not just one animal, we actually have several animals on the same land. And all of this allows us to eliminate synthetic inputs. So we don't need to use synthetic fertilizers, chemicals, all of those things. We're able to create essentially a closed loop. So the key animal on any regenerative farm really needs to be a ruminant animal. What was roaming these prairies before we came here? Bison. Some reports say they were in herds of millions. I mean, I can't even fathom that. I get goosebumps just trying to think about it. I mean, we have like almost 100 head of cattle on our farm, and people just are in awe of how many it is and think it's so incredible. The idea of millions of bison roaming these prairies just blows my mind. But the ruminants, when we practice rotational grazing, this is really the foundation to healing the land and being a steward and practicing regenerative. And why? Because this is what's going to improve the organic matter, the fertility. This is what creates more topsoil. This is how we sequester more carbon, and we enhance the resilience of the operation. Alan Savory is pretty small here, but it says, we must use livestock, the only tool we have to mimic nature to create healthy ecosystems. So I have a pretty bold statement here. Cattle can reverse global warming. And I truly believe that. I do think that everything I've seen as I've gone on this journey of regenerative agriculture, and by the way, maybe I said it earlier, but I never heard the word regenerative agriculture when I was in college. It wasn't until 2017 that I finally heard the term from Joel Salatin, and then I started reading about him, and then I went down a whole path of listening to Gabe Brown, Alan Savory, Alan Williams, several of these pioneers in the regenerative agriculture space, and it was just blew my mind. But White Oaks Pasture is a regenerative farm. He's gotten a lot of press. Do a simple Google search, White Oaks Pasture. Will Harris is the owner there. And they did a study on his farm to understand the carbon sequestration and the effect he had. And it's kind of small there to see, but it shows on the graph that the belching and all the methane, which is what we all hear about, right? The cattle are burping and farting their way to kill our planet. And there's no doubt about it. They do a lot of it, as we can see. And then we start talking about all the other emissions, and honestly, I can't even read them. But the big one here, though, is carbon sequestration. And so as we start to practice the rotational grazing, it has a huge impact on the sequestration of the carbon actually going back into the ground. Like I said, using the soil as a sink for carbon. And then, of course, these are all the other inputs like the transportation and the moving of the animals and all of the inputs that go into it. Well, remember when I talked about fossil fuel reliance that the industrial system is on? I always like to share with people, don't worry. Cows have 4 legs and a mouth. They can walk around. They can do all the grazing for themselves. They can poop all the manure out for us. There is no need for me to go start up a tractor or do any of that. In fact, it's actually better for me because I get more exercise by going out there, and I practice the rotational grazing by setting up these little electric poly wires. And it's a simple task that takes me about 5-10 minutes a day. And we just go right through and the cattle move and it's all done. Cattle are the easiest chores for us in the summer months when we're grazing cattle. It is amazing. And at the end of the day, this study showed that they have a net negative 3.5 impact on the carbon in the atmosphere. And so at the end of the day, we can eat the grass-fed beef from White Oaks pasture and feel good that we're not having a negative effect on the environment.
Just explain the sequester. Is that just the sequestration is like?
Yeah, great question.
Posting is that?
Yeah, so yeah, all right. So on our farm tours, I love to do a real life example of what's going on and how carbon sequestration happens. And so it usually starts. Let me just bring it up here. It starts with pulling up a big piece of soil off our farm from our perennial pastures, and we start just talking about it as a group. And we talk about what's happening here. And the big thing you can see, look at all that root material, right? Does a tilled land have all that root material? Does it go that deep? No. And what's happening here? All of this forage up above, it's practicing grabbing all the sunlight, right? All the carbon dioxide, bringing it down. What is that called? Photosynthesis, right? It wants the carbon. It brings it down and then it releases the oxygen for us to breathe. And that carbon goes down these roots and gets stored into the soil. And who wants the carbon? All of the living microorganisms that live in the soil. And the mycorrhizal fungi is the main one, but all of these organisms, they're living on root material. And imagine we went into Chicago and we plowed up all the roads. It would be complete chaos, right? No transportation. Nobody would be getting any supplies, anything they needed. Well, when we go and plow up the fields and we tear up all of that root material, the mycorrhizal fungi lives on those roots. And now they have no way to communicate, no way to transport the carbon. And so the carbon doesn't get utilized. But if we leave all these living material here, the mycorrhizal fungi, the other bacteria, they're living there constantly. And we're not talking about little. Like this is, I think they say 1 tablespoon equals like 5 trillion microorganisms in that 1 teaspoon. It's incredible amounts of life that live in the soil. In fact, I believe the mycorrhizal fungi wasn't discovered until about 2006 or something, real recent. And so the reality is when we practice the industrial agriculture system where we're treating the soil as a petri dish, right? We're having to supply all of the fertilizer so it can grow, because otherwise there's no way to get the fertilizer to the plant because we've destroyed the transportation system, and that's the living roots. So the carbon, the mycorrhizal fungi wants carbon, and so they actually will transport all the nutrients amongst all the plants, and then in exchange they ask for the carbon. So it is incredible. What's that? They store it in the soil. That's right. So, all right, to the carbon. I wanted to do this presentation why grass-fed beef is the better option than the Impossible Burger, but Zach said no one would show up if I said that. But this is from that same study from White Oaks Pasture, and they talked about the carbon emissions for all of the protein products here. And they're right on. Conventional beef is extremely high, and the reason is the reliance on fossil fuels. The CAFOs are just horrendous. If you guys have seen any pictures, actually, I don't know if I included a picture or not, but they're horrible place. If you want to drive out west, you'll see them, and they're horrible with tens of thousands of these beef cattle all in these mud lots where they're just trucked all of the feed and everything. And so they're not wrong. They have a huge, horrible impact on our total emissions. And then, of course, you go down the line. We all know that those aren't great. And then, some people are kind of surprised that those are actually in the positive. And the reason is because the ingredients of these vegetables ingredients is the industrial system. We're still practicing the industrial monocropping. And at the end of the day, when we plant perennial pastures and we utilize cattle for the pastures, we can actually have a net negative. The key thing is grass needs cattle. And when we let I was just talking to this gentleman here. He's talking about how at the conservation, they were just out there doing field burning. And at the end of the day, the land needs to be reset. In one form or another, it's going to get reset. And cattle are the perfect way to reset it. And in fact, the cattle can come through and they can graze it down 3-4 times a year, maybe even more, depending on the type of climate and where they're located. If we can manage the grasslands correctly, it sometimes can store more carbon than trees potentially would. We always hear a lot of times trees are going to be the answer. We need more tree land. And there's nothing wrong. We need that for sure. We also need more grass. And we can actually have a combined system of silvopasture, and that's really the ideal because now we're getting it from up above the ground and we're getting it at the ground level. But the grass is constantly practicing this photosynthesis, sequestering the carbon into the soil, and the cattle keep this cycle fresh, keep it going, because when that grass gets so long, it starts to get, we call it the granny stage, starts to show some strawy looks. Well, the cattle come, they knock that all down, and it stimulates regrowth from that plant. It goes back into a vegetative state, and it's full of energy, it's vibrant, and it's soaking up so much more sun and bringing it down into the soil. So for us, it's all about the soil. We're going in, we're pulling up, so we take soil samples because we want to monitor how the organic matter is improving. And like I said, our farm, we started in 2018. And so it wasn't a regenerative farm. It was a row crop farm. And it's a slow process of building that soil health. And of course, the big thing we can see right away is the soil life. We start noticing more earthworms, more bugs. We start seeing more root material, and that's obviously a good sign. The deeper our roots are going, we know that we're having a bigger impact. Alan Savory, I'm going to quote him again. He says, properly managed grazing is a potent tool for soil carbon sequestration, oxidation of methane, improvements of nutrient cycles, enhancement of soil, water holding capacity, restoration of biodiversity, catchment health, and landscape function. So the water impact regenerative agriculture is having as well when we practice this is incredible. By every 1% of organic matter increase, we're going to hold another 20,000 gallons of water. What does that mean? We're going to be more drought resistance, and we're going to reduce flooding. Am I good on time, or can I watch this 1-minute video? I don't know if it's well, I don't think it's showing up. Never mind. Well, it's all right. You guys will have to watch it later.
Will you send us out a link, Grace?
I will.
She just told me to tell you guys.
Uh-oh, I clicked the wrong one. There we go.
You might have to watch it now.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get back to the original PowerPoint. My bad, guys. There we go. All right, so we also see an impact in the wildlife and biodiversity with our practices. We see a lot more birds, insects, biodiversity in the plants. It's not like there's one plant growing. We see a lot of native species start to come up and grow. The ecosystems are starting to recover. This here is on our farm. We see that was a turkey, laid all of its eggs there. So we see wild turkey all the time out in the pastures. We see deer a lot, more than I like, because every time I try to go shoot one, I can't. But they're there every day when we do chores. And then birds all the time. And I did steal this photo. It's not off of our farm, but I will say I do see that very commonly, and it's really a cool sight to see. You walk up on the cattle, and you'll see hundreds of birds. Just behind them, they're feeding on all the cow manure patties, getting all the fly larvae. It's really a great sight to see. So our practices, like we mentioned, it's about the rotational grazing. This is an overview shot of our farm. Back there in the corner, you see 3 white buildings. Those are actually our laying hens. And so we rotate them every day, and they follow behind the cattle. And the same idea as the wild birds, that they're pecking the fly larvae, and it's a more natural way of living for the chickens. And our cattle are here, and we rotationally graze, so they get moved every day to a new strip of grass. The big thing is you need to keep them moving daily. And so all of the livestock require to give the pasture rest. We can't keep them on there continuously. When you drive by these farms where you see cattle and the pastures look like a golf course, that is not ideal. We want to give it a time to rest. And so we strategically plan all of our grazing for the year with, okay, we need to achieve a 35 days of rest for this paddock. We need to, and we constantly are moving them and adjusting based on what we're observing and how we're seeing everything react. Because if we're having a drought year, we may need to extend that longer. But if we're getting tons of rain, growth is abundant, we may actually need to speed things up. Of course, as our farm is continuing to grow with all of the livestock, we've seen the manure just have incredible impact on the fertility of the land. And it's really just working with the biology that's already there. These are our meat chicken buildings, and so they're these big hoop buildings that we move every single day, and it distributes the manure. You can see it there. It's really cool because you'll have sections where you'll move the chickens on, and then the very next year you'll look, and those sections where the chickens were, the grasses just are abundant. They just grow incredible the following year. And so we know every year that we're actually making an impact on it. Pasture-raised hens, it's really the same exact thing. They get time to be a chicken, scratch and peck. These are the chickens and the turkeys. So we have some turkeys here and the chickens. Pork. So the hogs, we actually rotate out in our wooded area. It's more of a silvopasture with the oak grove. Pigs are really the best fit for probably a wooded area. They do tend to do some tilling at times, and sometimes it's a good thing, and it's nice to put them in an area where you're maybe trying to clean up some unwanted brush and things. All of this is resulting in the fact that as we improve the environment and what we're doing, we're improving the food. And so we get healthier food, nutrient density, and of course, it's cleaner. And to be totally honest with you, we do a survey for every single new person that comes onto our farm, and we ask them, what motivated you to check us out? And the number one reason is people want healthier food. So we have a lot of people say it's because of the environment, it's because of they want the animals raised in a more humane way, or they want just better tasting meat. But at the end of the day, people really care about their health, and that's what they want because they've had a health scare. And the last, of course, as we're improving all of this, we're improving the community. We're building a lot more local relationships, and transparency comes from that because now it's, I know my farmer and I'm accountable to my customers. And economic resiliency. So, can regenerative farming feed the world? And a lot of people like to ask that. They're like, this is all great. I really love what you're doing and everything, but it's not really practical. It's not going to feed, the world. Come on. But that's not really the right question. It's not actually scalable. There is a certain limit because what we're doing is complicated. It's multi-species. And that's why industrial's gone to monocropping, right? Because they have more efficiencies. But it's not about being scalable. It's actually about being replicable. And that starts with education. One last quote of Alan Savory, and I did put the link here. So when you have the slideshow, you can go to their website and learn more. And I really highly recommend any of their education out there. They're an incredible organization. The root cause of the destruction is not fossil fuels, livestock, or corporate greed, but rather humanity's inability to manage complexity at scale through organizations and institutions. And this sums it up. Give a man a fish and you'll feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you'll feed him for a lifetime. Like I said, this is about education. This isn't about trying to scale one operation to make it bigger. We need more farmers. I would hope by the end of my lifetime, we could see maybe more like 5% of the population farmers again. So our vision is really to continue to grow that. That is myself with a partner farm. His name is David Zimmerman. He's up in Wisconsin, and he provides all of our, not all of it, but a lot of our calves. And that's really what we're trying to build right now is bring in network farms that have the same mindset or they want to be practicing regenerative agriculture. They're done with what they're doing and they're ready to get into a better playing field that they know is going to be better for the people, the environment, and for us. And so that's what we're trying to do now is form partnerships with other people and hopefully transform the Midwest into more prairie land. I mean, I would love to see more fence line to fence lines in grasslands than in corn and soybeans. So hopefully we can restore more family farms, as I mentioned. And so our efforts right now are educating, storytelling. We're going to continue to sell direct to consumer because we recognize that's the best way that we can communicate all of what we're doing. And then, of course, educating other farmers that this is a replicable model. So call to action for you all. Will Harris from Pine Oaks Pasture said, if we're going to make this change, it will be because consumers decide so. So at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier, we couldn't be doing what we're doing without all of our customers and the people willing to pay the extra amount of money for the food that they're buying from us. It's not the cheaper option, but they know the end results and what it's going to do for them, for their body, for the environment, and for the health of our future of the agriculture community. So, of course, for all of you guys, support a regenerative farm. It doesn't have to be us. I know there's a lot of other great regenerative meat producers here in the Midwest. Ask questions about your food so you can really know that they're actually practicing what you believe, and be a part of building a better ecosystem. So, some of you asked about the slide. I do have the deck. If you guys want to scan the QR code there, it will take you to a page, and I'll email it to you. And as a little bonus, I'll give you a $20 off coupon if you ever wanted to order any meat or eggs from us and our farm. So, with all that said, if you guys got questions, I'm more than happy to talk.
How did you go from a farm that has low crop natives?
Yeah.
One more time. There you go.
How did you go from a farm that had row crops to grasslands?
Yeah, so we planted. So 2018 was the year we decided we needed to get into doing grass-fed beef and producing pasture-raised and the regenerative route. And so our original farm that we bought was about 77 acres, and we took the 55 acres that were tillable land, and at the time was in corn. We planted into a hayfield, and for a time we didn't have nearly enough livestock or a market for those livestock to utilize all of that land. And so we sold a lot of the forage as hay, but we felt like right away that's what we had to do. We had to get it out of the row crops to prevent everything I just shared with you. And so we definitely would go ahead and get manure supplement from nearby and put that on there right away. And then as our businesses continued to grow, now we were able to purchase the farm next door a couple of years ago. And so now we're up to about 150 acres. And we're at the point now, like I said, we're starting to seek out partner farms that want to come and join us in the mission here in the Midwest, so we can just get to our goal, feeding 10,000 families better quality food, and know that we're actually going to support some other farmers as well that want to do the same thing and follow suit. Go ahead.
Yes. For Zoom. For Zoom.
Oh, for Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
I love this idea, and it is really cool to see meat become part of a sustainable movement. And I think people are going to be really excited about that. And I think that meat consumption is so heavy in this country that the scalability of something like this, I do worry about things getting false certified or false advertised as regenerative in the future.
Yeah.
How do you propose that we prevent something, where we don't have this big organic movement being big regenerative movement from happening?
Yeah, I forgot to touch on that in my presentation more, but unfortunately, I think 20 years ago, or maybe longer, organic was kind of like the regenerative it is today, basically. I mean, it was a movement that was more focused on sustainability, smaller family farms, better quality food. And now over the last decade, it's become much more industrialized to the point where I could show you pictures of an organic farm and you'd be like, really? That's organic? That's where my organic milk is coming from? That's where my organic beef, like organic beef is not necessarily grass-fed only. It's usually a lot of times fed in a feedlot, but it was just organic grains. And so at the end of the day, unfortunately, the organic has become industrialized, and it is a real fear. And a lot of people are worried about that as well. I think I would hope that we see more of what we're doing, more direct to consumer rather than these big national brands. And I think some of these certifications are not all bad. I mean, I think they can really help, especially if you're selling, like for us, we've never gotten a certification, but if we were selling in a grocery store and that was our main avenue of sales, we would most definitely go ahead and do that, because it's a stamp of approval to give the customer assurance that they know they're buying what we say we're producing. Because unfortunately, a lot of these claims are not necessarily being controlled by the USDA, and they have no idea. Like pasture raised right now, there's actually I should probably send that to you all, but there's like a big petition right now to try to regulate the pasture raised chickens, because there was a huge thing that came uproar with Vital Eggs recently, that they were like, what, they're actually not really pasture raised like we thought they were. And we can talk later about that, but yeah, it's an interesting topic. And then, you know, grass fed right now, we import almost 90% of our grass fed beef. That's crazy. And the reality is, it's because the US is so fixated on grain fed, and that's the way we have to do it. And I mean, I have all of my college buddies and everything thinks I'm some crazy hippie for what I'm doing. And that people make fun of me all the time. But it is what it is. It's fine. Unfortunately, the labels are confusing in the grocery store. They're not always regulated. And that's why I really feel that the direct to consumer is the new future of food. And there's no reason we can't do it because of today's technologies now. I mean, I can launch a website and I can sell it online, and there's tons of other farms starting to do the same thing. And I just hope, like I said, we get to more like 5% of the population as farmers. And if we continue to go down that path,
Sounds very promising. I like that.
yeah, I mean, that's what I would like to see happen, but it is a complicated subject, and doing it our way is going to take a long time. It's going to be a slow growth model, but I think that needs to continue, as well as probably the other models as well.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
You include a link to that petition?
Oh,
You
yeah,
include a
I
link to
should,
that petition in the follow-up?
I honestly need to send out an email to our whole following and ask them to sign the petition too. But yeah, there's unfortunately some of
Or
the
if
stuff
it's
is-
on fivecalls.org or somewhere.
Yeah, I'll have to send it all to you. I'll have all your, if you guys go in here and ask for the slide deck, then I'll send it all to you, if that interests you.
Thank you.
Oh, that's okay.
I heard you mention farm tours a couple times. How would one go about
Yeah.
attending one of those?
Yeah, we'll have farm tours this summer. We're still working on the schedule here. But we usually do farm tours the last weekend of every month through the summer months. And we sell tickets on our website, and you can just sign up there and come on out, and we'll have a grand old time seeing all the animals and talking about some of what we talked here.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do you find it difficult securing processing for the volume that you're doing? I have some family members that are in a much smaller scale, and they have to book a date at a processing plant a year in advance.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you're not wrong. It's definitely a challenge. So we kind of got started at the worst time with that whole processing, because in 2020, as many of you guys remember, the grocery stores were empty and people were like freaking out. I'm like, oh man, my food doesn't actually come from the grocery store. And so they're trying to scramble, and all of us local farmers are just getting hammered with, I need, and everybody's panic buying. I want to buy a quarter cow or half a cow. Have you ever done it before? No, never done that. I got to go buy a freezer tomorrow. And so we got hit so hard, and all of the small processors just got filled up right away. There was such bottlenecks. There were so many issues. And, thankfully, the government did put together a lot of grant opportunities to help get some of them going, and a lot of them did get going. I have been hearing about quite a few of them shutting down, though, here now recently. And that's probably just a sign of saying, hey, maybe the demand for local food wasn't quite as good as it was a few years ago. Now, I would argue a big part of that is just bad business. Like, some of these processors probably should have been shut down because they were just not good business people, not good ethics, not good quality. We worked with probably 12 different beef processors until we started working with the one we're with now. And it was a kind of revolving door of, oh, can't work with this guy. They're not trustworthy, or they screwed this up, or unreliable, or whatever. Currently, we process our beef and our pork with a place just over the border into Michigan. And they have just been incredible to work with. They have allowed us, they're a big reason why we've been able to grow so much in the last 3 years. But when my wife, right after we set that goal of feeding 10,000 families, we quickly were like, man, processing is going to be the biggest issue. And we were ready to honestly shut down after one really bad experience with a processor, because we were so devastated. And then we started calling around, asking a lot of our friends in the Midwest at recommendations, and we recognized if we were going to find anywhere, we were going to have to start driving 3-4 hours away. And that place we went out to, and we're just so impressed with them. They've just been incredible to work with.
One last question here.
So to the best of my understanding, farmers who plant like wheat and corn and soy get subsidies, right?
Yeah. So
can you form like a lobbying group and try to get subsidies to get more farmers to
our lobbying group is or not lobbying group, but our funds are basically through the NRCS, which I really laugh because when was it? Sorry, I'm trying to remember where I am in life right now, but I think it was last year. So yeah, it would have been the beginning of 2025. They cut all the spending, right? And they cut a ton of the funding to NRCS. And then all of a sudden, at the end of last year, they came out and said, oh, we got $900 million for you guys. And everybody was all excited, like, oh, wow, yeah. It's like, wait a minute, guys, that's how much we had before the cuts. So out of that $450 billion for the USDA, right now, through the NRCS, they have like $900 million available, which, it's a significant amount, but the grand scheme of things of 450 billion, not so much. And unfortunately, that ag bill is still funding a lot of things I would not support. So as far as your question on lobbying for regenerative agriculture, NRCS is definitely a huge supporter. I would say one of their biggest issues, at least here in Illinois, has been just staffing, for them to try to get good quality people to take care of everything. And a lot of the people that are there working, they're overwhelmed. They got too much on their plate. They're not being able to get everything done in timely manners, and farmers get frustrated. I worked with NRCS with our original fencing project and watering systems and everything. And I've since then talked to multiple farmers over the last couple of years trying to get funding, and we're always, they're getting on the phone, having their little sob moments with me, sharing how difficult it is to work with NRCS and all of the hoops they got to jump through to get anything approved and funded. And so it would be nice to see Illinois specifically improve, because they're so focused on not grazing, but on more of the row crop production. So
one source of funding possibly for you and works out of Illinois is American Farmland Trust.
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah. There's more and more like organizations and everything popping up trying to support this. I think, like I said, in 2017 was the first time I heard regenerative, and there wasn't a lot of resources for what we're doing now back then, and now there's a lot more. So it's growing.
And they have.
And Savory Institute is great. I mean, by all means, get on their website and learn more about their works.
Oh, we have a couple questions online. Can you bring the microphone up?
I was just going to say real quickly, so I'm Carolyn Campbell and I'm on the county board, but the first time I met Joe was at Fresh Market and he was trying to see if they would sell his eggs. It was before COVID. And
Oh,
being
yeah.
the nosy person I am, I stopped him and asked him what he was doing. And then I would see him at the farmers markets. And then I did take the cows and coffee tour last year. It was the best time ever. It was absolutely beautiful. I could share the pictures I had because I have so many pictures that day. So I think the biggest thing that we can do, especially here in the county, is to make sure that we're supporting our local farmers. That is key. And if you're not, if you're like a lot of meat and you're, a little questioning the price, then back off a little bit, because this quality meat that is produced is really important, not only for yourself, but for the land. And if you do a Google search and you look at the land, it is so lush and green because of the practices they have versus what's around him necessarily. And I know you're branching out again. You had said that last year when I was there, and all 3 kids were there, including the baby who stayed with us the entire time with Hannah. And it was a fantastic event. So I would really reach out to them and get online and get on their mailing list. It's fantastic. So.
Yeah, actually, well, the mic's being passed. I meant to share this with Zach, but my wife actually worked here at Duke's Ale House, probably 2010, I'm gonna say, 11. So she was a Wiedenfeld.
Yeah.
And she grew up right here in Crystal Lake. And so my wife was actually, she wasn't per se vegetarian, but she pretty much avoided meat. It was a very rare occasion that she would ever have meat. And it wasn't until we started doing this that she started to incorporate meat back into her diet. And not only her, but we have had, for the course of the last few years, about 4 or 5 vegetarians work for us, and they started eating meat once they found our farm. So anyways, you guys, if any of you guys are vegetarian or vegan, you're in good company. We're not like, that's very norm around our farm.
We have 2 quick questions. How many cattle are grazing on your farm?
Yeah. So right now we have approximately about 100 head of cattle on the farm.
Okay. And then the last question is the length of the rest period on a given paddock.
So as I mentioned before, that can vary. Right now it probably averages 35 to 40 days. But, early in the season, if we're getting good rainfall, the grass is growing really quick, it might be less than 30 days. And then if we have more drought, it's drier, that very well will extend out farther. So context is key. Context is actually arguably the 6th tenet to the regenerative farming principles. And context matters based on your location, what's going on with the season. And so those are all things to keep in mind.
Good. Another thank you for him. This is great. Thank you so much. Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're going to step into our announcement time. And those of you that have been here a lot know that we'll give you a whole minute. Make sure that it applies to this environmental community, and let us know who you are and who you're representing if that's the case. So here we go.
Thank you, Leslie. Hi, I'm Nancy Gonza-Yorick with the Wildflower Preservation and Propagation Committee. Hopefully y'all are seeing daffodils in your yard and it's making you think about the garden, right? We help you to plant native plants in your yard. Our first event coming up is a yard walk at the home of Nancy and Randy Sheetselt on April 26th. 2 walks, 10 and 2. If you haven't been to their yard, You have to go. It is so beautiful and amazing. Formerly owned by Bill Wingate, the great Bill Wingate, who is one of the founders of our group. Thank you all for attending our seminar. It was a great event. I hope you all came. Yes, I've heard about the second speaker. Enough said. Okay. You had 3 really great speakers and 1 mediocre. So let's move on. Next up is the plant sale on Sunday, May 3rd. May 3rd. Yes, at the college. It will be a carbon neutral event.
You have 1 second.
Beth. So please come, a zillion plants. And then just really fast.
Okay.
Did you all love our trip last year to the prairie? Well, this year we're going to Medewin.
Oh, really? Oh.
So 7-Eleven, you can find that information on thewppc.org. We'll have a bougie bus to take you there. There'll be lunch. There'll be a tour out on Medewin. It'll be a great day. We had so much fun last year going to, where did we go? HM, where did we go last year? Yes, Nishusa grasslands, and saw the bison who were grazing out on their natural land. So thank you all. Thank you, Anne. Oh, I know. She's like, I got the eye. I got the evil eye.
Who else has an announcement this evening? Back here. Going way to the back first, and then I'll work my way up.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Cecilia from the waste reduction team. I know you guys are all excited because soon is International Compost Awareness Week. I know. Woo! So this year we're partnering with the Master Gardeners and giving away free compost. Come get your free compost. It's going to be at the Nunda Township and Kishwaukee Brewery. So it's from 10 to 2. You can take up to May 2nd, Saturday, May 2nd. So I hope you guys come out, learn about composting, enjoy the compost. And also our community fridges are still going pretty good, but we need more people to use them. So if you know of like social service agencies that might have people in need, just let them know about our community fridges at FCC Church in Crystal Lake, Nippersink Library, and East River Library, McHenry. That's it.
There you go. Thank you very much. All right, working my way up. No? Yeah? Did you have an
We have
announcement?
lots of exciting things, but actually Carolyn's first.
Okay. So this is the polling for the tickets here, and this is, or do we have more announcements?
Wait, any more announcements? Yes, that's what I thought. Sorry.
In the middle. Let's
Oh,
find it. Let's
in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
Right.
People could leave.
So we got this, we got 2 tickets. One, we're going to do 1 for each, and then it's the Antioch Pizza Shop for a 16-inch thin crust, one topping. So the first
One last 2 numbers.
Last 43.
numbers,
Go ahead.
we've got numbers.
43.
43.
Oh, hey, all right. See, it was worth coming. All right, and our second one is 50. Who's got number 50?
Oh, we've got 50.
No?
We've got ticket number 50.
Double check.
Maybe
Somebody did it.
Who wants the pizza?
Or I get it.
You have to be present to win. Well, they're all here.
Nobody left.
No, somebody left, I think. Oh,
somebody did leave.
All right, we will do another one unless somebody right here is about to draw number 50. Don't know.
I can't find my
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It was the Conscious Cup one anyways.
Oh, okay. All
There
right,
you go.
here we go. She's trying to give me a hard time. She turned it over. All right, number 50. No, 61.
61.
61. Oh, good. All right, congratulations. All right,
Okay.
and one more.
Well, this is for all the Conscious Cup.
Conscious Cup time, the big one.
Yes.
All right, number 44. Ticket number 44.
You should move it on.
Okay, we'll do another one. Go, Carolyn. You're making me.
Where is it?
Right there.
There. 30.
Ticket number 30. I'm gonna stick these down so that we're back. Is that okay? All right.
Sorry.
More or okay, and that's it.
What are these?
I have no idea.
Go ahead and tell them what it is. It's a reusable vase.
Oh, really? Okay.
All right, first one.
I'm having to work really hard tonight. That's okay though. Number 64. Sorry to give you a hard time. Number 64.
Yes.
Anybody? 64? Nobody?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, we're going to the next one, which is 47. Number 47.
Right there.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, glad you saw the hand. All right. And 39, number 39. Aha.
Yeah.
Here you go. There you are. Last but not least. Oh, we got more. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Number 31. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you got it.
We need a popcorn person.
Here we go. Somebody that likes popcorn. Oops, and they folded their ticket for us. 26. Number 26. All right. You're good. Any others? And these are items that were left over from the Defenders Annual Meeting raffle that unfortunately arrived late and didn't get set out. So that's why we're handing these out this evening. We have a couple more announcements, I think. Hold on. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim from McHenry County College Sustainability Center. I'm going to talk super fast. The Green Guide is about to come out on Monday. So the 2026 Green Guide. Already had 7 calls this morning. So we're getting ready to answer all those questions. But I want to tell you, there is a household hazardous waste collection event coming up on June 6th. You do need to register for it ahead of time. So please go to McHenry County Department of Health website. It's mcdh.info and register for a time slot. And don't freak out if you can't make that exact time slot. It's okay. There's a little window, but they're taking all the icky stuff that's in your basement. So start getting that stuff together. It's June 6th. So, where? That would be a good thing to tell you. It's at the Reed Road, Huntley School District on Reed Road. So that would be a good thing to add. So yeah, Green Guide online starting Monday. Thank you.
And the Green Guide's a big deal to put together. So Kim, thank you very much for doing that every year for us. It's a big deal.
Erin Kennedy with the Environmental Defenders. Once again, just wanted to welcome the new faces here. You're always welcome to come back depending on the topic that piques your interest. If you want to look back, we do have previous recordings on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and kind of browse those. Just go on, if you go on YouTube, just search Environmental Defenders and it'll come up with all our different kind of playlists, if you will. 2025 was a great year for the Environmental Defenders, so I'm excited to share with you our 2025 annual report. Grace's amazing work that she did. We've got some hard copies here in the back. It's also available on our website. So I would really encourage you guys to just take a few minutes to look at it because we really did make a huge impact last year here in McHenry County and super excited for 2026.
Perfect. Anybody else? Did I miss everybody? All right. Well, April's a busy time in McHenry County and other places, again, because it's Earth Month. So I also had a couple books to suggest in case you're home and you need something else to do. One is called Plastic Ink. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but the person, her name is Beth Gardner. She was interviewed today on Fresh Air, and it was a pretty powerful interview, and she's written this book. I only got parts of it, but something to think about. Another one that is a good news type of book. Who's heard of Terry Tempest Williams? She was interviewed last month, and her book is called The Glorians. So really trying to look at what the beauty is in nature and something that I hope will inspire you and enjoy. So those are a couple things to be working on. So however you can get out, be active, involved in our community and taking care of each other in this beautiful world we share. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming. And thanks again, Joe. I forgot. Yeah. All right. Yep.